So I had this idea. I decided to run a 5K. Well, I actually decided to run 2 of them. The first one I ran on a Friday afternoon in November. I was well rested, I ate a light snack beforehand, I was ready to go. The second one, I ran that one a week later, but I did it on only 4 hours of sleep. As you might expect, that second run was not good. Yeah, this is a slog now. But what was interesting is that it was hard for reasons that I didn't quite anticipate. Of course, we know sort of intuitively that sleep is important for our performance, and it's especially important for our athletic recovery. But I wanted to find out for myself just how important it actually is. Like, how big of a difference could sleep really make? Let's say you're training for a 5K. Maybe you're even training for a marathon. You're probably gonna stick to a regular training schedule to get yourself prepared. Most likely, if you really wanna get to that next level, you're gonna make sure your diet is well planned also. But what if I told you that the real key to your endurance training, the real key to kind of pushing your body to the next level, is actually your sleep? And to help me understand just exactly what happens, I knew I had to speak to a friend of ours, Dr. Chris Winter. He is a neurologist, he's a sleep expert, and he's worked with several professional athletes to really help them dial in their sleep and their sleep routines. So whether you're a professional athlete or just like me, kind of a weekend warrior who's looking to push their bodies a little bit, Dr. Winter highlights 3 major reasons sleep is so important. And the first one is that sleep is the best opportunity to really kind of, get those gains.
In deep sleep, we make a lot of growth hormone. Well, why is that important? Well, that's strengthening our muscles and bones. If you're somebody who's saying, look, I really want to have big, strong muscles and look good for the summer, so I get up at 4 in the morning and after 5 hours of sleep to go to the gym, it's like you're going to the work site to build the house, but you don't ever bring any lumber. You've got to have the blocks in place to have something to build with. So you're lifting the weight, but you're not allowing yourself to kind of create the space for sleep to happen so that something good can happen from the time you spend in the gym. So, all those things are all dependent upon sleep.
Sleep is when our bodies repair and restore our cells and our tissues from the day before. As we go throughout the day, we release different levels of cortisol, which is a hormone that regulates our stress, things like our blood pressure. It even helps control inflammation. Cortisol breaks down our tissues in order to gain its energy. Whether you're running a 5K, maybe you're just sitting in meetings all day, maybe you're doing laundry, all of this sort of incrementally breaks down your body. So one way to think about this, sleep is the chance for your body and mind to clean itself up. It kind of repairs your muscles, gets everything back to baseline, kind of gets your body back in order. In other words, if you're training for a distance run, of course you need to put those miles on to prep your body, probably even prep your mind for what's to come. But sleep? Well, that's where you're going to develop the capacity for those longer runs, as well as the physical and mental resilience. Out on the track, running well rested, my baseline felt pretty strong. Feeling pretty good. I had kind of a wall at around lap 2 or 3 that, was able to push right through. And my time? 28:19. I'm sure a lot of you could crush that number, but look, I'm not a runner, so I'll take it. So that was 12 and a half laps. I would say I feel really good. The fact that I was putting my body through something different, I could tell it was pushing back on me. I think what I'm really curious about is when we do this again next week, after I am on very little sleep, what those hurdles, what kind of that resistance is gonna feel like in my body. Am I gonna have the mental fortitude to push through it? Am I gonna have the physical stamina to push through it? I feel good. If I give myself another few minutes to recover, I could probably keep going. I wasn't going to run another 5K right after, but I could have. I felt pretty good. If 1 was the worst and 10 was the best, I'd probably give myself an 8, maybe even a 9. Dr. Winter suggests there are a couple of additional reasons sleep is so important.
Sleep is kind of creating this sort of ability to be energetic for the next day. That's strengthening our muscles and bones. It's fortifying our immune system. It prevents injury. And if we get injured, we get better faster. So I think that the cascade of growth hormone, insulin-like growth factors, cytokines that kind of run inflammation and the things that kind of constitute our immune system, all of these things are happening during the time that we're sleeping.
Now, when we get deep sleep, something that happens in the first half of our night, our muscles get more blood flow, they get more oxygen, and that's what Dr. Winter says helps fortify our bodies. If you are at all injured, maybe you just experienced some minor aches and pains, sleep is the best chance for your body to do its healing. We know too that sleep strengthens our immune system. It keeps those potential colds and flus at bay. And a strong, healthy immune system also means reduced inflammation throughout the body. Everything is interconnected, and it all leads back to sleep. Back on the track, running my 5K on 4 hours of sleep, I was a mess. And the run hadn't even started yet. 1 week later, very different weather. It's much colder today, much more damp as you can see. I slept 4 hours last night. I feel disgusting. My eyeballs hurt, my head hurts. I forgot my water bottle. I filled it up, set it on the counter, and then I just left it there. And then I had to think about 50% harder how to get to this field. And by the way, I come to this field twice a week, every week, because my son plays soccer out here. What am I expecting here? Physically, I have no idea. My hypothesis is that the mental aspect is gonna be the hardest. I don't know why I'm doing this to myself. That was rude. And the run itself, well, struggle bus. Just same pace. Harder all around. Seven. 20 minutes in, lap 10. My energy's going through the floor. There were a couple of things I noticed. First, mentally, I was really struggling. I anticipated this being physically very challenging, but I underestimated just how mentally challenging it was going to be. And actually, I probably should have known because Dr. Winter warned me.
Can you physically run the 5K off of 3 hours of sleep or no hours of sleep? Absolutely. I'll be really interested to see how you sort of mentally respond to a lot of things. How did you kind of emotionally and intellectually interpret that? Good sleepers more like, okay, this isn't feeling so great, but it's going to get better in the next, half mile, versus this is feeling terrible. Oh, this is going really badly. This is going to be a terrible experience. Oh, I'm just going to slow down. We know that individuals who are poorly slept make bad decisions. They take more risks. I think that we tend to feel more pain when we're not getting adequate sleep, particularly REM sleep.
So this whole thing was a bigger mental struggle than I expected. But you know what? Something paradoxical also happened. I had a hard time focusing this morning on anything related to work. Don't tell my boss. I didn't even think to keep track of the laps. I had to think a little bit harder about how to even get here. After the run though, my mind feels clear. And so there's something I think a little paradoxical about like, hey, this was really painful and really hard. But I also think it's a testament to just, if you're sleep deprived, one of the best things you can do for yourself if you're trying to make it through the day is just move your body. So yeah, if my well-rested run was like an 8 or 9 out of 10, this was like a 3 or a 4. I didn't want to run. And though I didn't stop during the run, my pace was so much slower. On balance, I just felt so much worse. And the result? $29.45. Almost a full 90 seconds slower. So my experience running and my time sort of bore out the miserable nature of running on very little sleep. But here's what else I thought was really interesting. If I compare my heart rate data from my Whoop, check out the different experiences. When I was running on a full night of sleep, I spent over 16 minutes of that run in zone 5, so between like 90 to 100% of my max heart rate. But then take a look at my tired run. I spent most of that run in zone 4. Also, what this tells me is that when I was well rested, my capacity for pushing myself through the discomfort and through that experience of a distance run was just much higher. I could peak my heart rate when I needed to. When I was tired, I was just trying to survive. I just wanted to be done with it. So with all this being said, what are my takeaways? Like, what was the point of doing all this? First, as a dude in his 40s, I am no longer built for 4 hours of sleep, if I ever was. This whole project took me a few days of recovery. But beyond that, what else? 90 seconds is a big time gap in my races. You could certainly dismiss this and say it's only 90 seconds, not that big of a deal. And I think you'd probably be right. Like, it's not an enormous gap of time. But what would that number be if you were chronically underslept? Or what if you stacked several nights of 3 to 4 hours of sleep in a row?
Sleep's the most important thing in the world. Tonight's sleep is largely irrelevant. What I'm trying to say is that I'm a great sleeper. For the past 2 months leading up to this competition, I am disciplined about my schedule. I don't stay up. I'm not on my phone. I really protect my sleep. and then the night before, it took me an hour or two to fall asleep, which was very unusual. I think you're gonna be okay.
But the other thing I learned when I was out on the track running really tired was just how quickly my body ran out of gas. The image I kind of had was of the battery on your phone. You know, well-rested me started my first 5K at, let's say, 100%, and the run maybe took me down to like 85%. But that tired run, it felt like, you know, imagine waking up and you forgot to charge your phone. It's at like 40%. And now you have to send a bunch of texts, you have to watch some videos, you have to make phone calls. That battery is gonna deplete and drop really quickly. And that's exactly what I felt like was happening as I ran. I started and I felt okay. And then I just hit fumes. I was done. So on very little sleep, I just acutely felt that wall, and it came very quickly. I suffered, so you don't have to. The one thing I want you to consider is that as you train for this 5K or that marathon, or maybe even that ultra, you know, we often ask each other, how's our training coming? How's your training program? Maybe we instead should be asking, how's your sleep? What's your sleep routine? Because that's really where your success is going to live or die.
I don't think it's even close. If you're saying, look, in the next month, you can Morgan Spurlock this thing and eat only McDonald's and then do the race, but you're sleeping great, or you can get the best food you want, but I'm going to put 3 infants in your bedroom every night that don't really have a sleep schedule. It's not even close. Which one is going to affect you more? Yeah, I'm eating those McRibs every day of the week.
One of the best ways to really gauge the overall effectiveness of your sleep and your training routines is by tracking something called heart rate variability. Now, it's a metric that most fitness trackers include. It's also a metric that is notoriously difficult to understand and know what to do with. I spent some time talking to folks to help me understand just what HRV is and how we should think about it. So check out my video on that one right here. Well, that's it for this one, everyone. Good luck on your training. Get your rest. Thank you for watching. Sleep well.